Greetings and welcome to the Ag Club's Ask the Experts virtual series brought to you by the Young Professionals Committee. My name is Costa. I'm the Director of Growth at Skill Creative, and I'll be interviewing advertising and creative thought leader Menno Kluin, who's the Chief Creative Officer at 360i. Let's get started. Menno, you've been in the advertising industry for your entire career. Can you share with the audience how you stay flexible throughout the years and kept yourself at the intersection of craft and culture?
Yeah, advertising is an interesting industry, right? You always have to be evolving. You can never necessarily be stagnant because it's an industry that relies on relevance and being future focused. Personally, I actually try to always reinvent and always kind of like push what I'm looking for next. I think it's just like a personal character trait where I don't want to just repeat the same thing over and over. I always just want to explore and try new things and new challenges. And that means leaning into new channels, projects, styles. Whether they fail or succeed doesn't necessarily always matter, but just personal growth, I guess, is at the forefront of everything. And then, with that comes skills that actually apply over a multitude of projects, right? So it's just like you start borrowing from this one skill set you've developed here to another project that you have on the other side of things.
Very cool. Last year, 360i delivered an incredible immersive experience, the Amazon Alexa skill, the Westworld, the Maze. Could you describe the experience of bringing to life a concept in a completely new medium such as voice, and what is your vision for this channel?
This was a fast-moving, complex project for HBO. Super fun though, really awesome. We had clients on the HBO side that are very progressive, we call them, quietly, of course, like leapers. These are people that like to take leaps forward, right? They don't want to take incremental steps forward. They want to, jump farther ahead than most other people. So when we started talking to them about voice in general, right, which has a natural link between entertainment, viewing in your own home, and then kind of like building in an added experience around you, whether that's fact-based knowledge, in-depth, or behind the scenes, or whatever, it just has a natural fit to entertainment for companies like HBO. So we really wanted to dive in a lot deeper for the season finale of Westworld. We wanted to really bring ambition to it and see where we could take it. From beginning to end, we had 12 weeks, I believe, where we said, okay, hey, let's hold hands, let's jump in, let's do it. Which I think was a good thing in the end, because I think if we had too much time, let's say we had a lot more time, maybe then you start, overthinking things and it's like, oh, can we do this or not? And this is just like, okay, we have 12 weeks, let's go, let's figure it out. And it's been super fun. It's actually one of the things that I really enjoy doing. It's like bring ambition to a channel where people are not used to going that far, right? It's like at the time, voice was functional. It's like, what's the weather? What's the this? What's the stats on sports and whatever? And to take that to a higher level of entertainment and bringing that kind of like HBO craft storytelling, like audio world to it. It was just incredibly rewarding.
You really felt like you guys were stretching the imagination on that one. Very, very cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
So 360i came into 2020 with, I believe, their most awarded year in agency's history. And simultaneously, this year has brought on massive challenges, as we know, because of COVID. How did your team adapt the creative process internally? And what are some of the takeaways from these changes? And if you can build on top of that, what has been stimulating your creative juice in the past couple of months?
On the first thing, again, like it's all related. Like everything is about growth. Everything is about progressing. Everything is about moving things forward, right? So whatever awards level we hit one year, we try to outdo it the next year, and we try to outdo it the next year, and so on and so on. And that is just, I don't know, I think that makes it interesting and exciting, right? It's like, can you beat your previous best? But that as well keeps creatives engaged and retained, right? Because you always have to have something to look forward to. Never start looking back, always look forward. in the end, the awards is a measure, but it's not the measure that I personally look for. I'm very excited that this year we are starting to hit like a very high level of creative on a larger array of brands, right? So when it was even in the time of like let's say Westworld, we had like let's say 2 or 3 clients where we were hitting like let's say an amazing level of creative. But now we're starting to do that on a multitude of brands. And then how COVID comes into play, yeah, it's tough. It's I think it's first, everybody had to get used to the new normal. Everybody had to get over anxiety, myself included, right? I don't think I'm any different from anybody else. Everybody had to like settle, but I believe that we're currently again where the dust has settled a little bit. And I think companies, culture, society, people are able to have a little bit of a clearer look about what's ahead. So I'm currently in the process of dialing up that ambition again, dialing up the pressure, dialing up the expectations to make sure that everybody again like outdoes themselves this year. For us, from 360i perspective, everything is about true integration from media and creative, high level of creative quality across a multitude of assets, which is the hardest thing, right? Only the best of the best agencies can truly have like brand-led thinking, true campaign-led thinking, and be able to kind of like channel that over a wide range of assets. So that's the focus. Again, it's like adding scale, adding ambition, no longer necessarily just singular projects, but truly reinventing brands, repositioning brands, and helping them succeed in the marketplace.
Very cool. And refreshing your perspective when it comes to creativity and awards is just a concept in the advertising industry, and it's very refreshing to hear that from you. You've stated in the past that you had to hyper specialize to get noticed in your early days. Do you think the same still like holds true to this day? And how can young professionals figure it out? Like what skills to hone in on?
I would say, standing out in today's creative environment is significantly harder. It's significantly harder, right? Like when I was a junior, it was about print ads and TV commercials, and I just picked print to specialize in very simply because the agency I was at the time didn't do a lot of great TV. They did a lot of TV, but it didn't do a lot of great TV. So it's like, okay, let's control all aspects of the process. Let's do something amazing and let's stand out. But currently, for juniors to succeed, and I'm just kind of like basing this on the juniors that are extraordinary in the 360i department, they excel in a much more holistic way. They're very process minded. They're incredibly creative, but incredibly process focused and detail focused. And just kind of like like let's say if the level of effort when I was a junior was about, okay, gonna go hang out with your team partner for 2 weeks in a cafe, and you focus on the idea and you talk and you talk and you talk and you talk. Now they have to come to ideas much faster at a much higher level, be much more unique and interesting and exciting, and at the same time have a holistic understanding of the entirety of the process, of the selling, of the making, of the producing, of all the brand components that come into play, right? Everything is about decks and PDFs and 40 pages of this and set up an explanation and details, and right. So it's like the name of the game has changed significantly. But to stand out within that, right, because that is all those things are skills you can just acquire by just applying, doing training, and so on. It is increasingly difficult to stand out because a certain level of production everybody can already accomplish. You can showcase it in a certain way, even in Squarespace. But to truly be a fresh, different thinker, or to be truly somebody that pushes something forward is, we call that a sharp knife. Somebody that is able to have like a sharp knife rather than a butter knife, right, is incredibly hard. Actually, one of our most successful juniors, no longer a junior, her first day was the day she was briefed on Westworld to May. So her first ever project was a Grand Prix, which is not a bad way to start, I would say.
Definitely a good career story for her. Very cool, Menno. You have a reputation for attracting and nurturing talent, as you're just mentioning right now. As a creative leader, what would you say are the most common soft and hard skills you see in successful talent?
Soft and hard skills. The soft skills, yeah, you have to like listen. Like all of them are mandatory. Again, like to my previous point, you have to be a well-rounded person. You have to be able to have a social game. You have to be able to have selling ability. You have to be able to persuade a bigger team. You have to be nice and likable and all of it, right? Because if you push too far, you're no longer likable. Then people turn against you almost. That's a strong word, but it's like to get the best creative outcome, you need to have a bit of both. It's possible that I would actually think soft skills are possibly more important because everything is team sport in advertising, and everything is being able to have a trusting and engaging relationship with your clients even, right? Because otherwise you never get to the best work. You just don't. It's like the old, like let's say 80s persona of the advertising creative director that, threw shit across the room and all of that stuff is just not true anymore because you're just a singular, isolated, crazy person, I guess. Right? You have to get people along with you on the journey, otherwise it doesn't work.
I feel like that's such great advice. Like the team aspect of advertising sometimes is forgotten. We just think about the big idea and the creative, but at the end of the day, we were talking before the recording, the team behind is so important to make these things happen and come to life.
Yep.
And to finish our interview, Menno, what's the best career advice you've ever received?
I've had many because I've had many great mentors along the way. Like I worked for Tony Granger for a long time and a very inspirational leader, great leader. He was running Saatchi at the time, and he, for instance, said, it's not the best advice he ever gave, but it's the one that came to mind. He said, Menno, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? It's like, again, like also coming to the previous thing of being too irrational and too, let's say, loud in the process. And I'm not denying if I've ever been loud or anything, because maybe people watch this now, they go like, well, Menno, you've been very particular at certain points, which I'm sure I have been. But it's it's a long game, and you have to build continuously towards something, and you have to always have kind of like a perspective. I look at my career as that, as in the whole totality of my career. Where do I want to be? What do I want to accomplish? What are the things that are important for me to have along the way? And then, second, I don't even remember if that was an advice, but it's something that I personally live by. It's do your best to deliver for your direct superior, whoever that might be, right? That's it. The moment that trust is gone with the person that you work for directly, everything will become harder. Everything will become, let's say, less fluid. You will get less opportunities. You will not be allowed to grow. So always deliver, because if you always deliver and even possibly over deliver, right? I always went out of my way to make sure that I succeed at the task at hand so that you get more of them, because the people that succeed in advertising are most likely the ones that got taught how to do it by the best mentors, by the best creatives, by the best people in the industry, because it's about standards, it's about processes, it's about expectations. It's a learned skill to a certain extent.
That's such a good point. At the end of the day, business, like we do business with who we trust, and internally with teams is the same thing. We delegate to people who we will trust with the task at hand. Menno, thank you so much for your time. Thank you to our viewers for listening, and stay tuned to more content from the young professionals in the Ad Club virtual clubhouse. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very, very cool. Let me see how I can end the recording.